From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Thanks, Catherine. Well, what a windy Thursday it is in some parts of the country. It's not so windy here, but it's been piddling down all day long. It is September 20th, 2018. I'm Richie Allen. How you doing? Welcome to the programme.
Welcome back to the most listened to independent radio show in Europe. It's your Richie Allen Show.
Richie Allen.
It's the Richie Allen Show. Broadcasting live on richieallen.co.uk and multiple platforms around the world. And now, here's your host, Richie Allen.
Welcome. What a mad day I've had. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Tweet me. I'm not sure I'll be able to see your tweets for the next couple of minutes. I'll be fiddling with some wires as we talk. I will be. But tweet at Richie Allen Show. Got an hour of news and analysis for you, unlike any other, coming up between now and 6 p.m. Little technical issue here. I can't phone out. I had some lovely guests booked for you today. I'll tell you why in a second that happened. But tweet me, it's at Richie Allen Show. I'm going to turn off the theme tune, and while I speak with you, I'm going to reboot one of my computers because it's giving me jip. So it is. Yeah, there's a sound card gone. It's not gone anywhere, but it's not working, and it means that I can't call out at the moment. I'll be able to get that sorted very quickly in the AM tomorrow. But today, I had to apologise to Dr. Robin Falkov, my friend, who's in Florida doing her own show today, that we couldn't get her on because I can't call out. And I can't take calls either. So I only figured this out just before 4 p.m. So frantically searching for more material I was. As if I had to search. There's plenty of material, plenty of things we can talk about. And I think internet has been restored. You see, my internet just went down on one computer, and I was looking to the computer where I can monitor the stream, and I saw that I was still streaming, meaning that internet hadn't gone down entirely, just this particular computer. Well, I've rebooted and it seems to be all right now. Lovely. These things are sent to try us, eh? Wouldn't it be lovely to be working at the BBC or RTE and you'd have 3 or 4 people doing that sort of thing for you? I wouldn't have to do it live. Anyway, how you doing? You well? So yeah, Dr. Robin Falkov is due to be on. I had a surprise guest as well. I'm going to keep that surprise up my sleeve till early next week. I had a couple of guests booked in, but I can't call out. As I said, I won't dwell on that. It's 6 minutes past the hour. Where did I want to start? I wanted to start with something I came across in the mail. So you're a filthy right-wing Daily Mail reader, are you, Richie? No, I read everything. I read all the papers. Somebody said that to me. The last time anybody recognised me, doesn't happen very often, and I'm not being modest, it doesn't, was in Manchester, and he didn't like me very much. I was in Manchester with the future Mrs. Allen a couple of weeks ago, and gentlemen, I was standing outside a cafe, and I was speaking with a couple of people. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that I'm loud, and I'm loud because I'm deaf. Anybody who's presented radio or TV, and you've had in-ear monitors, or the cans that I'm wearing now, and you have them turned up loud as I do, you're kind of half deaf. So when you're talking to people, you're often like this. And you don't realise it. I'm not really deaf. But anyway, I was speaking to a couple of people just about this and that, not about anything else. And this chap came up to me and he said, are you your man, Richie Allen, are you? And of course, I was delighted. Don't pretend that you're not delighted, because it doesn't happen very often. So I said, yeah, 'tis me. And he went, stop fucking winding up Jeremy Corbyn, you bastard! And he walked off. I said, I've not wound up Jeremy Corbyn. I've never spoken to Jeremy Corbyn. And off he went in a huff. So there you go. And then as he was walking away and I shouted after him, come back and talk to me. Let's have a chat about it. He mumbled something about me being a Daily Mail reader. There you are. I read everything. So there was a story in the Daily Mail today, and you know the way you and I talk sometimes about child safety, child protection issues. It comes up. Sexual abuse. there has been in operation in this country forever. Trafficking, the trafficking and the ritualistic abuse of children, and it is carried out at the top levels, top echelons of our society. The wealthiest business people, politicians. It's going on. Friends of the royal family. It's going on. It's massive. And it's huge. And of course, we have gangs grooming children, the Pakistani, what have been called the Muslim grooming gangs, Rotherham, Rochdale, elsewhere. We hear a lot about, does anybody give a damn about children? And I saw a story today that some people might say it's a bit hysterical. And it's the exception, not the rule. So let me just shut up and read you. That's an oxymoron. Shut up and read you the story. Let me stop waffling and read you the story and let me know what you think of this. So it's a headline in the Mail, and the headline is, woman boxer dubbed the secret assassin beat schoolgirl aged 11 but dodges jail with a £120 fine. So there is a woman boxer, an amateur boxer who boxes and is able to box. And her nickname is the Secret Assassin. And she knocked the piss out of an 11-year-old schoolgirl called Keisha Schofield. And this was over, allegedly. Young Keisha, I think, who was 11, had a row with the boxer's daughter. The boxer rocked up and beat the piss out of the 11-year-old girl, fracturing her nose, bloodying her face, and when the girl fell to the ground, she kicked her. But she didn't go to prison for this. The woman's name is Binch, Jade Binch, and this has emerged, this. The Mail has just gotten a hold of this. It didn't happen last week, it happened late last year. And Binch was convicted of assaulting this girl at Mansfield Magistrates Court. The girl, 11, 12 now, maybe not 12 now, is so absolutely horrified by this that she's having difficulty going outside, and I can understand that. She was battered, was this girl, and is finding it difficult to go to school. And this woman got a £120 fine. This woman, Jade Binch. The mother of the girl who was assaulted can't believe it, is horrified by it. The sentence was actually £120 fine, court costs, whatever those were, £100 maybe, and 10 days of rehabilitation activities. And because this girl, Keisha, who's, they say is now nearly 13, has to bump into this woman on the school walk or the school run and doesn't want to go to school, she just won't go out. And I was thinking today, if I was to beat up an 11-year-old boy, if I had a son and there was an argument between them and I was to go and find the other boy aged 11 and beat him so badly that I was to break his nose or fracture his jaw or whatever, I would expect to go to prison for a couple of years. And I saw that story today, and you might think it seems or sounds like something of nothing, but it isn't something of nothing, because maybe it's indicative of the way we see children today, or the way children are treated by the justice system today. There's any number of stories in the papers about children whom had a relationship with a teacher who preyed upon them, whether it's male or female. And you find that those teachers were given very, very light sentences, often not custodial sentences. And we reported 2.5 years ago on the programme that police officers are learning that men are looking at child pornographic images on their computers. They're not arresting them. They're actually turning up on their doorsteps and they're saying, look, we know that you are looking at pornographic images on your computer. We know this. We want you to stop it. And in some cases, they ask those men to accept a formal caution. In some cases, they don't. Extraordinary to me that a 28-year-old woman, a boxer, could rush upon an 11-year-old girl, beat her so badly she breaks her nose, and yet walk away without a custodial sentence. Why? Why is that? It's extraordinary, isn't it? Extraordinary to me. Now, let's talk a bit about Brexit. It's interesting, don't groan, and it's very important. We're approaching 13 minutes past the hour. Thursday's programme. Donald Tusk, the head of the European Council, has said that Theresa May's proposed new economic partnership with the European Union simply will not work. He said May's plans risked undermining the European Union's single market. Where was Tusk saying this? Well, he was speaking at the conclusion of a summit in Salzburg where leaders of the 27 remaining member states were discussing Brexit. Theresa May said that her Chequers plan and the proposals in that plan remain the only serious, credible way to avoid a hard border in Northern Ireland. She was responding to Tusk's remarks and she said, yes, concerns have been raised and I want to know what those are. A lot of hard work to be done, she said, blah, 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 blah. Do you want to hear a little bit of what Donald Tusk had to say? Very briefly. We'll rush through this, but there are some interesting things you need to hear. This is Donald Tusk, European Council President.
Everybody shared the view that while there are positive elements in the Chequers proposal, the suggested framework for economic cooperation will not work. Not least because it risks undermining the single market. The moment of truth for Brexit negotiations will be the October European Council. In October, we expect maximum progress and results in the Brexit talks. Then we will decide whether conditions are there to call an extraordinary summit in November to finalise and formalise the deal.
Running the clock down is what Donald Tusk and Guy Verhofstadt and all the rest of them are doing. The other clown, Juncker, of course. They're running the clock down. You see, Theresa May's farcical Chequers plan actually keeps the UK under the European Union jackboot. It does. But the European Union wants more. You might be forgiven for thinking, why doesn't the European Union just accept Chequers? It keeps the UK in all but name. Why not? Well, you see, it wants more. It wants complete humiliation and subjugation, procrastination. That's what it wants. It wants to warn anybody else who tries to leave. This is what happens. We will mess you up. We will wreck your career. We will end your premiership. And then you'll have to stay in anyway. That's what they're doing. May's got no chance. But we can hear from May now. She did her own press conference and she took questions from a number of reporters, Faisal Islam. But before Faisal Islam, Laura Kuenssberg, BBC reporter, spoke to May, asked her this.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Laura Kuenssberg, BBC News. The President of the EU Council has made it clear he doesn't think your plan can work. Chancellor Merkel has said there is still substantial progress to be made. Other European leaders have made it plain today they do not think that Chequers can work. So with the EU against your plan, with large chunks of your party at home against your plan, how can you credibly cling on to the deal you struck at Chequers with your cabinet?
Laura Kuenssberg there using 75 words when just a handful are needed. Prime Minister, you are fucked royally, aren't you? Aren't you, Prime Minister?
Well, look, I'm negotiating, and I'm negotiating hard in the interests of the British people. I'm negotiating to deliver on what the British people voted for in the referendum. But I'm also clear that if we're going to deal with the commitments we've made in relation to Northern Ireland, we do need to ensure that there is no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. And we need to do that in a way that retains the integrity of the United Kingdom. To do that, we need to have the frictionless movement of goods across the border. The only proposal on the table at the moment that will deliver on that frictionless movement of goods across the table is the proposal that we have put forward in the White Paper.
Yes, she's right, of course. But it also keeps the United Kingdom under the jackboot of the EU, as I've already said. That's why I asked you a second ago. You could be forgiven for wondering why the European Union doesn't just sign off on Chequers. They want to humiliate. May is right. It'll provide frictionless trade. It'll avoid a hard border in Northern Ireland. And May won't admit it, but it also keeps the United Kingdom under Brussels jurisdiction. And as a rule taker, with no say in anything, we never had anyway, and also spending billions every year to stay in. That's what it is. May's kind of being honest here.
So yes, concerns have been raised. I want to know what those concerns are.
Well, the concerns are, love, they don't want to take what you're giving them, even though it's what they want. They want to humiliate you, is what they want to do, love. It's what they want to do. They want to completely wipe the floor with you. They want you on your face, stripped naked, while they queue up behind you to roger you senselessly. That's what they want to do. Can you not? Of course you can see it. But she's a Remainer at heart anyway.
There's a lot of hard work to be done, but I believe that there is a willingness to do a deal. But let nobody be in any doubt that, as I've always said, we are preparing for no deal. So that if we get to the position where it is not possible to reach a deal, then the British people can be confident that we will have done what is necessary to ensure we make a success of leaving the European Union, regardless of the terms on which we do so.
And have the chances of no deal just gone up?
We are continuing to work for a good deal. I think you will have heard both President Tusk and a number of the EU leaders saying that they are looking and hoping, working to...
You see, if May was committed to leaving the European Union, if May wasn't a Rothschild whoremonger, what she would do is she would tell them all to go and get fucked, is what she would do. She would get back on a plane, come back and say we are leaving tomorrow. Not on March 19th next year. We're leaving without a deal. I'm not dealing with these people. They're tyrants. They are dictators. We're leaving. We'll revert to WTO terms and they can go and piss up against the wind, is what May would say. Faisal Islam jumped in next. Could he get any more from May? He tried the same old tack. You're screwed, love, aren't you?
Prime Minister, it was you that said rather recently it's either my deal or no deal. As we've heard, the EU Council, having talked about this, the EU27 have said Chequers won't work. The Dutch Prime Minister just stood at that lectern and said the Netherlands is better prepared for no deal than the UK. Isn't this all starting to fall apart now?
Yeah.
No, look, I have always said...
No.
...said that these negotiations were going to be tough. And at various stages of these negotiations, different tactics would be used as part of those negotiations. What I'm focused on is delivering on the vote of the British people and delivering that in a way which ensures we maintain, we deliver on our commitments of no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland.
Yeah, of course, Islam got no further with his question than Koensberg did. Namely, what are you doing here, love? None of them agree with it. They won't sign up to it. Back home, the Brexiteers, those who really want to leave, won't sign up to it. And the Remainers won't sign up to it either. May appeared to be having a Richard Nixon moment, by the way, today. You might remember the debate with JFK. I think the first ever televised presidential candidate debate on American television. And Tricky Dicky was sweating. Do you remember that? May was sweating buckets. But in the interest of fairness, it emerged later on that the heat was turned up to extraordinary levels in the room. And you have to wonder, actually. You have to wonder, did somebody, realising that May would be taking to the lectern to speak, did somebody think, because she's going to be on live television, let's turn the heat up and make her look very bad? Who knows? She's screwed. Told you. Brexiteers won't support it. Remainers won't support it because they smell blood just like Donald Tusk. They want humiliation. They want to force her to resign. They want to force an election where Labour, this is Remainers I'm talking about now, where Labour will get in and bang, second referendum. Because old Jezza Corbyn, flip-flopper himself, who railed against the tyranny of the European Union for years from the backbenchers, he's more compromised now than Hillary Clinton to the power brokers, the real power brokers. He is. Don't think that's an exaggeration. He now bows to the same masters after he capitulated over the anti-Semitism nonsense. So that's what's going to happen. Jacob Rees-Mogg then, before we move on, terminological inexactitude darling, spoke to the Ginger Ninja this afternoon. And Ginger is still there, driving Sky News afternoons as she has been since forever, Dorian fucking Gray. There is a picture of Kay Burley in an attic somewhere where she looks 1,000 years old. I was wearing short trousers. She was driving Sky News in the afternoon. Anyway, Jacob Rees-Mogg, what happened over in Salzburg, Jacob? What happened over there?
Oh, well, the Chequers deal doesn't work. It doesn't deliver Brexit, and it doesn't maintain the integrity of the single market. So the EU doesn't like it, and people who wanted to leave the European Union don't like it. Donald Tusk has merely repeated what Monsieur Barnier said a couple of weeks ago to the Brexit Select Committee, that the key parts of Chequers don't work from the EU's point of view, and the government needs to recognise that and come up with a better approach, which would be a Canada plus free trade deal, solving the Irish border on the basis set out by the European Research Group, which I chair last week.
Yes. So what's the Canada plus or Canada plus plus free trade deal? What is it? Well, Kay Burley doesn't have a clue. Kay is so thick, she puts lipstick on her forehead to make up her mind. So this is what the Canada plus plus deal is. It's known as the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or CETA, Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, and it was signed 2 years ago after about 6 or 7 years of negotiation. What does it do? Well, it removes 99% of customs duties on anything moving between the European Union and Canada. But, importantly, it isn't built around the membership of the single market. Canada is not a member, meaning no movement of people. Canada doesn't financially contribute to the European Union budget. It doesn't take laws from Brussels, and there is no movement of people freely between the European Union and Canada. Alrighty. So if the European Union was to be told by Theresa May, this is what we want, take it or leave it, they might say no. What would she do then, Richie? You act like you're an expert, Richie. You pretend you know everything. What would happen then? Do you know what would happen then? The UK would revert to World Trade Organization terms. You know what that means? It means that the European Union would have to offer most favoured nation terms to the UK, meaning that at that stage, the European Union by law would have no option but to offer the UK the same terms that it offered Canada. This is true, and this is what the whoring, bastarding, mother-trucking media refuses to tell you. Jacob Rees-Mogg and his pals, they desperately try to get this stuff out there for people to understand it, but the media does everything it can, collectively can, to make sure people don't understand it. The deal that Canada has with the European Union, if the UK signed the same deal, the UK would be absolutely out of the European Union, and the Northern Ireland question would be moot. There would be no need to talk about sophisticated technology to monitor goods crossing between Ireland and Northern Ireland and all the rest of it. There would be no need to talk about the UK acting as some sort of tax collector for the EU. It would just be a pile of bollocks. No need for it. This is simple stuff. Simple stuff. They want to make it complicated. They want to make it boring for people. And I know it is, because when I do these programs, I get emails from people saying, you are boring the shit out of me, Richie. Literally, Richie. I have to listen to you on the commode with this Brexit stuff, trying to educate you. I know a lot about it. Not being arrogant. This is what it is. The tyrannical Frankfurt Rothschild run European Union was set up to bring to an end nation-state sovereignty in Europe. It is a tyranny. The bloc is part of a plan to bring in a one-world government, to condemn you and me and everybody else to poverty, to take everything in the world that is worth something that should belong to the people and give it to bankers and to subsidiary companies owned and run by the Rothschild, Rockefeller, Oppenheimer, Warburg cartel. That's what it is. May, on some level, knows this. She's a Remainer, as does Philip Hammond. This is why Theresa May isn't just saying, listen lads, fuck off, you criminal bastards. Fuck off. No deal. I'm taking this back, and I will explain to the English people and to the British people exactly what's going on. Don't worry about Parliament. Don't worry about the Blairites and all the tyrants. I'll go back and explain to people. I'll look them in the eye and tell them what's going on. But of course, May is part of the same cabal. What else did Jacob Rees-Mogg have to say?
I think this idea that Chequers is the only viable deal is obviously not correct, because Chequers isn't viable. The EU was not going to accept it, and it's not leaving the European Union. And it won't protect jobs. It will deny us the opportunity to create jobs, because we will remain tied in to the failing European Union economic model, which has caused incredibly high rates of unemployment in other parts of the European Union. So it's not a viable model. It doesn't help us economically.
No.
Leaving on WTO terms a world trade departure is something that will not do us any harm and opens up opportunities for us to mould our own future. And I think British politicians and the British people can make good decisions for themselves, and better ones than Brussels bureaucrats can make.
Now, that was good by Mogg, but one thing annoyed me about that, and it confuses me. Mogg brought up World Trade Organization terms, which you default to. That was a perfect opportunity to say to the dim-witted and sluggish Kay Burley, by the way, Kay, if we do defer to WTO terms, legally the European Union has no choice but to offer us the same deal it offered Canada. You get me, Kay? You get me? That's all he had to say. So I don't know why he didn't add that in. Anyway, so the ginger ninja, she asks him about extending Article 50 because she's really not bright, Kay. After everything he said, what do you think he's going to say when he's asked about extending Article 50?
Should we extend the deadline for Article 50?
Oh, Jesus Christ, Kay.
No, definitely not. That would be, very administratively difficult, because you'd run into the European parliamentary elections, and the British seats in the European Parliament have already been reallocated to other countries. But also, British people voted to leave the European Union. The date we leave is the 29th of March. That's been passed into law twice now, and I think not to implement that law would be letting down the people who voted to leave, and would be a considerable failure of government policy.
Yeah, pretty much. That was a pretty dumb question, Kay, there. Obviously, let's not extend Article 50. Let's just get out. Good man, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Now you're going to be happy. We're going to move away from Brexit. But not before we hear a little more from Jacob Rees-Mogg, because the Ginger Ninja asks him about his children being approached outside their house. Do you remember this? Some wild-eyed scientist, some wild-eyed old man, Dr. Emmett Brown. It wasn't Dr. Emmett Brown. Some old man started heckling Mogg's children, didn't he? Some lefty. And basically said that Mogg was a bad man, that he was a toff and all of that. And people were outraged. They were outraged on Twitter that this guy should heckle Mogg's children. And Kay Burley asked him about that, and you might be surprised at Mogg's answer.
Just while we've got you, talk to us about what happened with the kids being hassled outside the house. How did you feel about that?
Well, it's a free country and people are allowed to demonstrate, and it's very important to defend the right to free speech.
Oh, yeah.
My children laughed at this old chap who wouldn't shut up, really. They weren't upset, I'm glad to say.
Good.
But inevitably, I would have rather it hadn't happened. But thank you. People have been very kind and concerned, and I do appreciate that, across the political spectrum.
Yes! Don't raise your children to be meltdown muppets who collapse when somebody says something to them. Wonderful answer. He's raising children to think independently for themselves, to argue back with the old codger who was saying your daddy's a bad man and you're a toff and all this. I don't know what he said. I couldn't be arsed. He didn't swear at the children and he didn't threaten them. So that's enough for me. I'd rather he didn't go around, speaking to children without getting their parents' permission, in fairness. But what an answer from Mogg. Wonderful stuff. I could get to like this Tory, Oh, Jesus. Perish the thought. But I thought that was a fantastic answer, and obviously sincere as well. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Good man. Don't raise them to be bedwetters. Raise them to debate and to talk back. I can only imagine Rees-Mogg's children, they probably talk like him as well. Like they've got a silver toilet brush stuck up their arses. But it would be funny, wouldn't it? Yes, well, go away, old man. Marvellous. Yes, my daddy's not here, so I shouldn't be talking to you. Now run along. There's a good lad. That's a 6-year-old talking there. Right, we're going to take a break. This is the Richie Allen Show. I'm live with you at the moment. It's 27 minutes to the top of the hour. Only for an hour today. I'm with you till 6. I explained why earlier. One of those things. Don't worry about it. It'll be sorted in the AM. And there you go. But I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this conversation with you. So I am. Right, quick break. Back in a minute. And I will be reading your tweets when I return.
There's a place high in the mountains of Spain, a sanctuary where souls gather from all around the globe to learn about themselves and experience powerful changes in the way we see our world. They become awakened to their gifts and their power to heal others. Become part of this ever-growing worldwide family of unique, pure energy healing practitioners. Discover how amazing you truly are. Go to www.markbayerski.com. It could just change your life forever. Forever.
Have you lost access to important data from a computer hard drive, mobile phone, or other storage device? Maybe you have a broken hard drive containing years of information, or a smartphone that no longer works from which you'd like the pictures, movies, and chats recovered. If you would like to recover data from any type of digital device, including desktop and laptop computers, external hard drives, cameras, smartphones, NAS, and RAID servers, then contact Data Clinic today at dataclinic.co.uk now.
The Richie Allen Show relies on your support. Go to richieallen.co.uk and set up a monthly donation today.
Welcome back. It's 26 minutes to the top of the hour. Thursday's Richie Allen Show, live on Fab Radio 2, TuneIn Radio, the Cogent Radio app, triggerwarning.tv, and did I mention my own website, richieallen.co.uk. Mwinga says that Jacob Rees-Mogg is a gent in his reply to Kay Burley after asking that dumb question. She was fairly flapping there, all right. Pretty brutal. David tweets, I said, dear chap, bugger off or we'll have one of the help set the hounds on you. Yeah. That's right, absolutely. I love these answer, Mog. Hi to Chris, by the way. Hi to a cartoon drunk to Rich, who says maybe Jacob should be PM. You know what I think, Rich? Let's do away with politicians and with prime ministers. Full stop. Well, hi to Bob Stew, to Ricky Emmett, to Gail, to Faisal as well. Tweet and tweet one another. Dean Smith tweets, I actually thought of Kay Burley when out shopping for a loaf of bread the other day. Then I realised it said thick cut. Good man. Good man. Thanks to John Nichols for the meme of me as the running man. Spoke a bit about the running man on the programme yesterday, so I did. Now, political correctness gone mad. Those on the far left, they roll their eyes when people say political correctness gone mad, because people on the far left accuse free speech advocates like myself of wanting to just be allowed to say anything and to insult whomever we want. That, of course, is monumental bollocks. I don't want to insult anybody at all. Not that I haven't insulted people in the past. I'm sure I have, but I don't want to, and I don't go looking to insult people. But political correctness gone mad. Here's a story that I came across on RT, which I think you'll find interesting. Again, you might say it's an exception, not the rule, but sadly, it is becoming the rule. Have a listen to this from RT, if I can get it up there. Having one of those days, technically. Yeah, I've got it. RT, listen to this.
A senior anti-corruption officer in the UK faces losing his job for alleged racism after saying that all police should be, quote, whiter than white.
Right. Straight up. A senior policeman faces losing his job over racism allegations because he said that all policemen should be whiter than white.
A complaint about his comment was passed to the police watchdog for investigation. Meantime, the officer's been placed on restricted duties. Now, the phrase whiter than white has been part of the English language for 500 years, since the era of William Shakespeare, no less. And according to the Oxford Dictionary, means morally beyond reproach. This well-respected officer denies any wrongdoing and is cooperating fully with the investigation. But a complaint was made saying that the language used by the officer was allegedly intended to deliberately offend in a racist way.
How, in the name of Christ, could you deduce from the officer saying we as a force need to be whiter than white, which is an age-old adage that means correctly, as the presenter said, it means to be pure, to be above reproach, to be seen to be clean in the work that we are doing. How could it be racist? Well...
Janetta Murray from the Plain English campaign thinks the phrase was used in the correct way without any offensive intent.
If we look at just what the officer said and the context and the intent, he was talking to fellow officers, he was talking about how policing should be done and it should be morally beyond reproach. I believe that he used the term whiter than white in the exact way that the dictionary definition explains it. And I've looked at many dictionaries, and that's the dictionary meaning, so it seems ludicrous that the officer is being put under investigation.
Yes. I mean, what a waste of taxpayers' money. Let's investigate this chap for saying that, well, we should be a clean police force above reproach. We should be seen to be whiter than white. You see, again, you think that's the exception to the rule. It isn't the exception to the rule. It's becoming the rule. Because I do remember reporting on at least a dozen other crazy similar incidents in the last year and a half alone. Guys and gals are actually facing suspension and discipline for saying something innocuous and harmless, something that we've been saying for, well, since forever. What is going on? What is going on? Even if an ethnic minority made the complaint, and it isn't clear if an ethnic minority person did, but even if he or she was ethnic minority, the senior person above the police officer who has been complained against, well, the senior person who received the complaint should tell the ethnic minority to fuck off. Fuck off back to work. Do your job. And don't waste my time. And if you come back to me again with nonsense like that, I'm going to write you up and I'm going to report you. Fuck off. Once and for all. Madness, folks. Madness. 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Where does that all end? Where does that all end? Andy Newman tweets, pissed myself laughing, imagining the EU leaders lining up to Roger May. Yeah, not an image that I gave much thought to before it came out of my mouth. David says he'd be best not to refer to them as the boys in blue, so female smurfs do not take offence there. Paul Craven, speaking about politics and the EU and poverty, Paul says, how much more of this can we take? Now I remember, let them eat cake, came the cry from the palace of the social elite, with people lying hungry with nowhere to sleep. Cheers, Paul, for that. Faisal says, I guess that suggesting that the police should be beyond corruption really pissed somebody off. Yeah, it is a phrase that has been in the lexicon, our vocabulary, since forever. I'm sure many a black man and woman, I'm sure many an Asian man and woman or woman has used it before to explain to somebody that, listen, we need to be seen to be clean here. We need to be seen to be doing it properly. We need to be whiter than white. What? You racist bastard! I'm running to our supervisor to report you. That's bad enough, but the fact that the guy ends up suspended then pending an investigation, well, why not just take another policeman off duty? Why not? Great idea. Because we're positively swimming in policemen and women, aren't we? Bobbies are everywhere, aren't they? Keeping our streets safe. Oh, that's right, they're not. They're not. 18 minutes to the top of the hour. Jesus. William tweets, William in Scotland, as much as I hate, that's the worst Scottish accent you've ever heard, I'm well aware of it. As much as I hate Westminster, Richie and May, what we are seeing now is the EU's true colours. Absolutely, William. Humiliate, denigrate, subjugate. Absolutely lay waste to whatever bit of pride the country has by making it the laughingstock of the rest of Europe and the world. May will go along with it because May doesn't want to leave the European Union. Simple as that. Bob Stew says these people who complain about something that they deem to be offensive should get the human centipede treatment. Jesus, Bob, that's a bit harsh. And I'm not going to graphically describe what it is you mean by the human centipede treatment. Now that you brought it up, by the way, my great friend and colleague Hayden Hewitt interviewed the director of that film, a man whose surname is Six, isn't it? Something Six is his name. I can't remember his first name. Hayden's a big horror fan and a big independent film fan. And if Hayden is listening by chance, he will know exactly what the human centipede treatment means. Right, we got to move on. So we do. I want to talk a little bit about Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh. Right. Why is that relevant to us, Richie? You said yesterday it's just pure theatre. It's a nonsense, you said, Richie. Don't deny it. It is. Of course it is theatre. But it is used also, theatrical as it is, it's also used to transform society, to change our perception of things, to make us acquiesce to laws and rules and regulations that maybe previously we would have found repugnant and that we would have rebelled against. So what's going on? Right, well, there's so many newspapers reporting this today. I'm going to go with The Guardian. Yeah, I know. The Guardian. The Guardian writes today that a top professor at Yale Law School, Ivy League school, Yale, who strongly endorsed Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh as a mentor to women, actually privately told a group of law students last year that it was no accident that Kavanaugh's female law clerks all looked like models. And that top professor at Yale Law School provided advice to students about their physical appearance if they wanted to go and work for Kavanaugh. So why didn't this Yale Law School professor speak out previously? Why did this Yale Law School professor endorse Brett Kavanaugh as a mentor to women while privately telling students that it wasn't an accident that his clerks looked like models? Well, this law professor is Amy Chua, that's Chua, wrote a best-selling book on parenting called Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, please. Well, she was known for instructing female law students who were going to be interviewed by Kavanaugh that they should dress model-like to help them win a post in his chambers. So as you know by now, Kavanaugh is facing scrutiny in DC because an allegation was made by Christine Blasey Ford. The allegation being that back in the early 1980s, he forcibly held her down and groped her while they were in high school. Now, he strenuously denies this allegation. It has plunged him into controversy. Parallels have been drawn with the Clarence Thomas, he's of course Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, and allegations made against him by Anita Hill in the 90s. So this woman, Chua, provided Kavanaugh with many of his clerks, endorsed Kavanaugh as a model for students, while believing that he was making his choices based on the looks of the women. So this woman, Chua, should be fucking chewed out by the media. Of course, this whole thing is trialed by media. I'm going to discuss this in a minute, how dangerous this is for democracy and for the right to be seen as innocent until proven guilty. Any man or woman who makes a claim against another man or woman, any man or woman who says, I was sexually assaulted by him or by her, when they present that evidence to a police officer, that police officer should listen to them carefully, treat them with respect, but remain completely dispassionate and neither disbelieve nor believe what the woman or the man is telling him or her. Jesus, Richie, you're getting fair politically correct there now, boy. So that's the way it should work. I've said this before on the programme. And then the policeman or woman will fight for Stan's right to be a woman. But she isn't a woman. Will fight for her right to have babies. So the policeman or woman should listen carefully, ask for any mitigating evidence. Have you got any evidence? First of all, anyway, we're going to get you to a physical. We'll get a physical done. We'll gather some DNA. We'll get an evidence. We'll take your statement and all of that. And then we will chase it up with the accused. That's how it should be. But the progressive lunatic Twitterati mob that is taking over the world, at least the world of social media, and is taking over the world of relationships between people and how we interact with one another. Innocent until proven guilty doesn't mean anything to them. I want you to have a listen to Michael Moore. Don't groan. He's the rotund filmmaker who made Fahrenheit 9/11, Roger and Me, and he made the film about Columbine, didn't he, the shootings. Michael Moore was on CNN talking to Chris Cuomo, and I want you to hear a little bit of what they had to say, because it's very interesting the way society is being changed over allegations against people, anybody, not just this guy Kavanaugh. Listen to Michael Moore.
There's this allegation. It's a serious allegation. It's not just something to just fluff off like, oh, it's just high school stuff.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying, oh, let's just foff it off, whatever that means. He means fob it off. Oh, it was just high. Nobody's saying that. If a man tried to force himself on a woman who didn't want his advances when they were in college and persisted with it, that's not nice, and nobody's suggesting it be fobbed off if indeed it happened. Allegations, says Moore, and he carries on.
Apparently he was 17, if I have that correct.
That's what we're told.
So that means he was a junior or a senior in high school.
It was alleged. You see, they should be using terminology like it has been alleged that this happened when he was 17. This is important. The language is vital.
High school. She was 15. That means she was a freshman or so. That's quite a difference. And we try 17-year-olds as adults.
If we have evidence to try them. If there is evidence, we try them. Evidence is important.
In this country. So I think that obviously every woman who makes a claim like this has to be taken seriously, has to be investigated. If we've learned...
What does taken seriously mean? That's a stupid thing to say. Who would suggest that a lady making an allegation against... And by the way, this allegation wasn't made to a police officer. Apparently she mentioned this at an event in 2012. And it's come out now. She gave an interview to a newspaper, the Washington Post, and or spoke to a journalist off the record, I think, and now it's been put out there on the record. She hasn't ever made a complaint against this man Cuomo. Allegation.
If we've learned anything in all these years, it's that you cannot any longer just turn yourself away from this kind of allegation.
Well, who's been turning away from allegations? The fuck are you talking about? That's what the police are there for. Back in the day, the lady should have went to the police and then she should have informed the high school. That's the thing to do. And if there are any young men or women listening to this, I hope you're not because of the language. Who cares about the language? If you're listening to this, if somebody assaults you, you go and tell somebody about it. It's as simple as that. That is your right. Never be cowed by the disgusting person who has assaulted you. You go and report it. Don't leave it too late. Go and report it. If you believe it's serious and you've been sexually assaulted, you've been interfered with, you go and you report that. It's as simple as that. It's the way it should be. Right? Right. So it's an allegation, said Moore. Now, something happened in 82. The host points out to Moore that if she deserves to be taken seriously, so does Kavanaugh. In terms of he should be taken as seriously in his denial as she is taken seriously in her accusation. Now, in fairness to Moore, they do say that that's true, but then they say that Trump and his team are not taking it seriously. And this is very interesting. Listen to the next exchange.
So if they don't want to know the truth, they want to potentially put somebody on the Supreme Court who, at the age of 17, who was, if he was a senior in high school and committed this crime.
Right.
Didn't you feel, and I've heard you talk about this on your show, and how you feel as a man, and you have daughters, and you have all this, and you've said these things.
Too. That worry about both of them in this.
Nice bit of virtue signaling here.
In this climate.
Well, yes, and you've talked.
We're lovely men. Me and you, Chris Cuomo, me and Michael Moore, we're lovely men. We look after our daughters. We bring our sons up properly.
You've talked about how you've taught your son.
Oh, we've taught our sons.
how to treat women, how
to treat women,
behave with women,
how to behave with women. How does that conversation go?
How to be decent and respectful. That if
you see the way things are going, complete bedwetters like Michael Moore will be teaching their sons never, ever, ever approach a woman. Don't look at a woman. Don't compliment a woman. Don't speak to a woman. Back out of a room whenever there's women in there and you're on your own. Don't be caught in there. Don't ask them out on dates. You wait until a woman speaks to you. That's where these guys are going, right?
If we were to find out later that this actually happened, why wouldn't Donald Trump and the Republicans, they should be at the forefront of this.
They're basically saying because a woman said that she was groped by this guy in 1982, that Trump should withdraw this guy as his nominee, which is madness. But that's what they're saying.
Saying we don't want to put anyone on the Supreme Court either who may have committed this crime.
That's not how it
played. Who may have committed a crime 36 years ago. Jesus Christ.
Out in 91, Anita Hill
no, but that was
made a solid showing and he still got in.
Aren't we a lot smarter now?
Well, apparently we're a lot smarter now than we were in 1991. I don't know if there's any scientific evidence to support that, but apparently we are.
That's what we hope, but look,
aren't we better?
Look what just happened in the election. Not to steal the idea of your movie, but...
Now listen to what Chris Cuomo says. He's supposed to be a journalist. He isn't. There isn't a journalist left on American television. He's supposed to be a journalist. He's supposed to say allegations have been made that have yet to be proven. We shouldn't really be trying this guy by television at all. We shouldn't even be talking about this because how could the guy, not that he will be tried because the statute of limitations has run out, but even if this was supposed to be a year ago or 2 years ago, how could the guy ever get a fair trial? How could a jury ever say that they hadn't seen anything about the case or read anything about it? This is wretched journalism. Listen to what Cuomo says next.
What just happened? We have one woman who we believe could very well be credible on...
What the fuck? You believe that she could very well be credible. Based on what? Do you know her? Has she shown you some videotape? Has she given you some audio? Anything at all, mate? Anything? You see, the presenter is claiming and declaring that this woman is credible. Unbelievable.
On these allegations at this point. Right. I can't go any further than that. I have to hear her. I have to see her.
All right, now you have to see her. You have to see her.
Right.
Because I don't know enough. That's why.
You know, fuck all.
Why we need the FBI to give us...
Yes, we need the FBI. So what are you even talking about it for? So that story, Richie, why is it relevant? I'll tell you why it's relevant. Because they want to move us into a world, dear listener, where your career, your family life, your life can be destroyed by an allegation. If any man or woman physically or sexually assaults another man or woman and it can be proven, they should have the fucking book thrown at them. And women, like this woman who's accused, Kavanaugh, are entitled to go and make allegations against anybody and give a statement to the police. They should be listened to. They should be treated with respect, but also they should be asked gently, kindly. We need to get some evidence against this person, whether it's another man or woman who's done it to you, and we need to start the ball rolling. But the police officer, the investigating officer, must be dispassionate. The media must never talk about it. Prejudicing cases must never talk about it in terms of, like Cuomo said there, for example, it looks like this woman is really credible. How dare you? This is crazy stuff. Yes, on the one hand, it's theatre designed to keep us all glued to the soap opera of the Trump presidency, but on the other hand, they are changing society, where soon somebody will be able to destroy somebody else just by making an allegation against them. Used to be in the past, allegations were made. At that point, an investigation was opened, and behind the scenes, quietly and privately, people would investigate, and the accused and the accuser would go about their lives until the day of reckoning. Not now, though. Now it's been changed. What is being ushered in is the era of, we'll claim you did something, you are fucked, you'll never recover from it. That was Thursday's Richie Allen Show. Apologies again for the slightly shorter showing today. I couldn't do anything about it. Enjoyed the air. Thanks for tweeting me. I will catch up with you again live on Sunday morning for Sunday View at 11 a.m. of course, British summertime. That is 11 a.m. British summertime on Sunday for Sunday View. Don't miss it. I'll be looking through the Sunday newspapers and the Sunday talk shows as well, the TV talk shows Sunday morning. In the meantime, have yourselves a brilliant weekend. Look after yourselves and one another. This might be an appropriate tune to close out with. It's No Surrender from Bruce Springsteen. Have a fantastic weekend. Speak Sunday. I've been Richie Allen. Bye now.